Okay, welcome back. We are here with more feature boot camp. We're going into week 3 on action horror, which was our spooky Halloween October theme that we are going to continue, hopefully, to the end of the boot camp. As for the other one that was currently running, which was post-apocalyptic dystopian Friday 6 to 8 TV pilot camp, unfortunately, we have had to put it out to pasture just due to lack of attendance. There will still be labs in that slot up until the end of the year, though. So we still usually keep something on the Friday 6 to 8 and Sunday 11 to 1, even if there's not currently an ongoing boot camp in that slot. So if you are a member, at least you can always find a class in those times. We also have a couple other programs and classes running, such as novel boot camp. That's Saturdays from 12 to 2 on WordCamp. All of these boot camps are wrapping up by the end of the year. The idea being that you will finish your entire draft of your novel if you started and follow the milestones of the class. Now on week 10, going into week 11 next week. And in this one, we're going into week 3 of 8. So you have 5 weeks left in the feature, basically taking you to the end of December. Okay, that's this is not an updated I'm realizing now I forgot to update the overview, but I did update the slides. So we're gonna have no overview. Won't that be a nice surprise? We'll start with check-ins. So you can tell us, what are you working on? How's your progress? What issues are you running into? Are you ready to move ahead to scene cards? And if not, is something getting in the way that you want to ask about now? And of course, we'll also always ask just, what are you reading? And even if you're brand new and have never been in the boot camps before, you can still take a swing at the questions. Just, what are you working on? What's your progress? All right, we'll go to straight down the list, and we'll start with Benny, I think is how I read that. Benny? Uh-oh. Benny, you're on the wrong side of the river. Mummy reference. Get it? Because it's action horror. Okay, we'll go to Luke. Go ahead, Luke.
I gave you a list of stuff I read the other day. Today, the only thing I've read is a few pages of that novella, Brother to Demons, Brother to Gods. Um, it's very 70s, very pulp, but I don't know, pretty ahead of its time. It's the concept is really interesting. I don't know why we haven't seen more of this kind of thing. Um, And as far as what I'm working on, I'm putting most of my runtime into the uh, TV pilot, The Long Dying, and for some reason today I wrote up a couple of pages of a short story about Christmas taking over the universe.
Ooh.
So I did that. Mm.
Christmas or Santa? You mean like the concept of Christmas?
It's like written from a POV of like a historian, like trying to document how the holiday of Christmas consumed the entire calendar and ended the world as we know it.
Oh,
Um, and it's kind of funny and satirical, and I don't know. I'm like probably 5 sentences away from finishing it. I just need a strong ending.
great. All right. You got a lot to say about Christmas, don't you?
I guess so. I don't. I just it was in my brain and I needed to get it on paper, so it
Yeah, might
turned
as well.
into sort of a narrative.
It's a big genre, especially around this time of year. All right. Thank you for that update. Let's hear from Lou.
How you doing? Yeah, working on my feature. Franklin made progress with the scene cards. Uh, I I fixed up the beat sheet with your suggestions. It started to run a little longer, but tried to make sense of the introduction just for my purposes. And so I'm working on well, the scene cards are basically done, but I'm working on starting to write the introduction and having some issues there with length and time away from the protagonist. So hopefully I can bring some of those issues up today. And
Okay.
I'm reading Chinatown just to kind of get a feel for good detective story.
Okay, great. Thank you for that.
Mhm.
And I see, oh, here's a note from Benny saying, I'm between story ideas and haven't read too much lately, but open to suggestions. Glad to hear that. Thank you, Benny. And if maybe just let us know the kind of stuff you like to read, we can give you better suggestions that way. Let's hear from Nacho.
Not really working on any features at the moment. I did read Flight Time last night, which is really good. It's kind of uh, one that you recommended related to a pilot that I'm working on.
Mhm.
And yeah, it's really good script. Uh,
Same sort of like the gaslighting genre, I guess we call it. Is that what you would call this?
yeah, just it was fun to see like how far you can stretch out just the tension and the like the narrative tension of just looking for someone,
Oh, sure.
which another a limited series that does this really well is Missing, um, the British show.
Right.
Uh,
Thank you for that.
with
Oh yeah, here we
yeah,
can link it in chat if you have something else about it.
yeah,
Cool. Thanks, Nacho.
sure.
And oh, what's the progress on your pilot as well?
Um, no progress. Uh, my writing partner is in China,
Okay, just waiting for
so
the right
yeah.
time to work on it
Mhm.
together. Sounds good.
Yep.
All right, I didn't miss anyone, did I? I think that's everyone. Okay. So, let's get into this week. We're talking scene cards. We're moving from story beats into scene cards. So you have an outline, a rougher outline, and your goal is now to expand it into a full outline, which I consider to be a full paragraph for every single scene. Not only that, but also a title for each scene, and you're pre-allocating the page numbers that that scene is going to take place on. I don't exactly know how common that is for other feature writers. I know it's much more common, especially in TV, where we have to be really careful with like where exactly do those act breaks land and things like that. But I am so specific as to say I'm planning this scene to be pages 1 to 2. This scene is page 3. This scene is pages 4 to 6, etc. You're basically breaking the whole movie down to these 2.5-ish page chunks, which we call scenes. A scene being just those little mini stories that make up the bigger, grander narrative of your movie. So scene card has to include just at the very basic, who's in it, what are they trying to do, what is the result? That's just like that can be one sentence if you really can boil that down very simply. More often than not, that's going to be a couple sentences, and you may want to start to even expand on anything else that comes to mind, like any other things that you think of for that scene in advance, whether it's like the atmosphere of the scene or the sequence, and how we sort of join that moment. Like you have a good idea of how the cinematography will transition us from moment to moment. Write it down in the card. You have good ideas for lines of dialogue. Maybe when writing the cards, you come up with a full exchange of dialogue. Put it in the cards. There's no such thing as scene cards that are like way too long unless you're trying to get feedback on the outline, in which case then you probably want them at less than a page because otherwise it's going to be like an incredibly long document that's going to take forever to read. It's basically getting closer to a treatment at that point. So don't do page long scene cards. Try to fit 2 or 3 on a page for the most part. In any case, we are looking at a scene card outline, which is going to be not necessarily on these physical cards, but a Google Doc is the easiest way to do this, I find. And that is going to be usually about 15 to 30 pages worth of single space Google Doc. That is nothing more than just heading. And the heading of each scene is going to be the title of the scene and the pages. And then underneath it, normal text is going to be the paragraph that tells us what happens in that scene. So this is really the heavy lifting. This is, I mean, I think a lot of the time where someone's like, I can't do scene cards. I hate scene cards. I'm not making progress in my scene cards. It's because you're actually writing. You're doing the writing. And it's tough to do that heavy lifting. But by doing it now, you are avoiding the problem of running into a section in the script where you just have no idea what happens or how it connects to the next moment or how to get from A to B, right? So we're trying to stack as much of that preparation at the start as we can, with the expectation that even as you encounter problems, you will run into unexpected issues or things that aren't working, or you'll have to combine or move around scenes. But with that in mind, I think it's most helpful to have that really detailed roadmap to lead you through it and to always have something to go back to if you get lost or you're not sure how to advance. And it's going to make a really easy way to track your pacing as well, because by allocating those page numbers, you'll be able to determine, oh gosh, I'm 20 pages short of where I thought I would be right now. I really need to pick it up and kind of like speed things along. Or the opposite, you might realize that your pacing is too slow, or sorry, too fast, and you need to add more room in between beats. All right. So that's the basics of scene cards. If you haven't already made that document, you can do that now. Just go to Google Doc and make a new document and title it Name of Your Movie Scene Cards. And at the top, you just really, the only things you would probably want to include are title, genre, logline, and comps to keep you on track. And also just to make it easiest for anyone that you're sharing that document with to tell what your intentions are and what you're trying to make and best position them to give you feedback. Any questions about just the basics of the scene card document? Okay, if there's no questions, we'll go right into one of our action horror themed exercises for today. Let's do another round of killing monsters. Our monsters today are cultists, mummies, and shapeshifters. Can I get a volunteer to tell us what are some ways that you've seen in folklore, movies, TV, books, things like that, that we can defeat these monsters? And what are the different variations that you've seen?
If you kill the cult leader, somehow magically that kills or dissipates all the cultists.
Yeah, a lot of the time in a movie to make it, in stories where the cult is the enemy, then we usually understand that defeating the leader means that we won. We defeated the cult. We don't usually have to kill every single last member of the cult in most stories in order to understand that they've been defeated. So yeah, you're onto something. Or in some cases also the leader has literally mind controlled people, so there's a magic reason why, like weapons even has an element like this. So there's one variation. Any other variants you can think of?
For cultists.
Mhm.
We just murder them all.
Yeah, bullets tend to work pretty well, unless they have like magic armor or something like that. Yeah, cultists are just normal people. I think that you are pretty much on track when you say the best way to defeat the cult as a whole, like in aggregate, is to defeat its leadership. All right, what about, do they make good antagonists for action horror movies? Yes or no?
Do they? I don't particularly like the horror movie version of cultists, generally speaking, so I'm the wrong person to ask.
Well, I guess the question is less, have you liked examples of it that you've seen, and more, do they fit well into the genre?
Um, I guess I like Resident Evil 4. That's all about cultists.
Yeah,
I mean,
cultists are humans, and so human versus human can make up the foundation of a great action horror story. Go ahead.
they're not quite human in that, but
In that
close
way,
enough.
yeah. They're infected by bugs that were from the primordial earth that have been frozen in amber, basically. So yeah, we can always have the cult leader can like turn their cult into monsters of some kind. That's usually a good way to make them a little more formidable, or to have a sort of different element to the higher levels of leadership. Like once you get high enough, you get to become a vampire, or you get to become a demon, or whatever it is. Any other thoughts on cultists?
I think
of oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I think in real life, cultists are way more interesting than they are in fiction. In fiction, they're just creepy and weird, and no one would ever join them.
You're pretty much spot on. Yeah, cults are kind of underthought in a lot of stories. They're kind of used as like a shorthand for crazy bad guys. Go ahead, Luke.
I just think of like a movie like The Empty Man, which had some pretty cool cultists in it. That scene where they're all like running around in the woods and they chase after him.
Right.
So I think it's
They,
pretty cool.
they can work quite well in the genre. They're sort of like the hands-off cultists, the like distant, creepy, mysterious cults. And then there's the very hands-on cult that's basically trying to kidnap and kill the heroes and things like that. The sort of more distant cult, as seen in movies like Hereditary, are sort of like pulling the strings from a distance, but we never really get a good sense of like who their leadership is or what they really want or what they're really capable of. We just see them in these glimpses and hints. So yeah, a couple different ways to play that, but Luke is right that usually they're not very thought through. How about mummies? That was
Just
my
grab their bandage and pull really hard, and they'll spin around in a circle, and then they'll be defeated.
works on Scooby-Doo.
Exactly.
Okay. Unravel the bandage. What other methods do we have of defeating them?
I don't know. We gotta find the golden ankh mystical artifact. We have to recite the passage from the Book of the Dead. Um,
Yeah, we have to usually do a quest of some kind, right?
yeah, as involving some kind of treasure or mystery or artifact.
Right. And I think mummies also sort of same as demons,
Or
the inverse ninja rule applies, where if there's one mummy, then we understand them to be a powerful wizard, basically. So the concept usually being that they were pharaohs, they're kings back in their time. And so the extension of that sort of godly power has crossed over after death. And so now they're basically an intelligent zombie that has magic. And if there's one of them. If there's a ton of them, then they're kind of like zombies. And in fact, even in the mummy movies, usually there's sort of like the distinction between Imhotep, who's like the king of the mummies, and then the very low level zombie servant mummies that he summons up to do his bidding. So we've got a couple variants just in that. Any other methods to kill mummies you guys can think of? I think fire works a lot of the time too. Anything else?
yeah, I was gonna say fire. Sometimes it can work like a ghost where you sort of have to break their curse by finding I don't know, healing their core trauma or something like this.
Sure, sure. But the understanding being that they're only back alive because of one specific transgression or unfinished business or something like that that we need to lay to rest. Yeah, definitely. Okay, do they make good antagonists for action horror movies? I think maybe the people have already spoken
Oh,
on this.
definitely.
What do you guys think?
There's a whole franchise, including what's that movie with the Scorpion King with the bad CGI The Rock?
The Mummy Returns is the movie you're thinking of, but The Scorpion King is is a spinoff, in which there's
Oh, right.
a bunch of movies in that series too. But The Rock is only in the first one. I think Dolph Lundgren takes over at some point, as you might expect.
Yeah, obviously.
So I think we've seen that they can work really well in action horror, maybe because there's that distinction of the kind of hands-off mummy, which is like more of the manipulator controller that can have a lot, either a cult, like we just talked about, or also various sort of undead servants and spirits under their command, which can make for that fodder of the action scenes. We really like in action horror for your protagonist to be killing a lot of different monsters usually, and winning. And we can win at great cost, but we have to win some of the fights at some point. The more horror-ish you're skewing, you don't have to abide by that, and the more you're skewing towards action, then we're probably going to be winning more. Hopefully you get the difference there. Penny also mentions mummies are usually sent back to hell. Yeah, I think we understand that or a lot of the folklore is that their spirit has been resurrected for a specific reason, not just randomly, but due to a prophecy or due to somebody disturbing their tomb, and their spirit needs to go back to its resting place. So we're trying to sort of return it, just like in the Brendan Fraser mummy movie, back to the underworlds. All right, let's do one more monster type. How about shapeshifters, like doppelgangers, things that can look skinwalkers, aliens that can look like people, stuff like this.
I can't think of any examples of how we kill them. I don't know. In Star Trek, you separate them from the link
Mhm.
and they die slowly.
Sure.
Um, how do they kill them in the Mimic?
With guns, I think.
Probably.
In The Thing, they use fire because that's kind of an
In The
alien.
Witcher, you just need a
Yeah.
silver sword.
Silver, yep, silver is a big one because I think shapeshifters are really connected to Celtic traditions like changelings. Cold iron or silver are often going to be ways to harm them or draw them out of their shapeshift. Sometimes you have to put the fire poker down their throat.
And it's not just killing them, it's knowing which one to kill. Like they'll
Right.
replicate like the protagonist's like girlfriend and he won't know which one to shoot.
Definitely. Yep. That's a big factor of these. And of course, in movies like Us, we even raise questions like, well, are we sure we got the right one? Are we sure that's the one we think it is? So even after you kill the wrong one, there's the potential that the doppelganger can continue to pose as that person for however long they want.
Yeah, I guess the thing is a good example, kind of an alien shapeshifter.
Definitely. Yeah, that's an alien shapeshifter whose goal is to essentially cause an apocalypse. The stakes of the movie are kind of explained by that scene where Mac goes on the computer and runs a simulation to ask Well, how long until they like, given how quickly it's absorbed every member of the space, how long before it absorbs the entire world if this thing gets back to the mainland? And it's something like 7 or 8 years. So we understand the stakes are in fact apocalyptic, despite the fact that the movie plays out just all contained within this one really claustrophobic setting.
Mhm. Yeah.
So
But
what do you
that's
think?
really the only
Yeah.
example I can think of. I know shapeshifters from like creepypastas, and no one wins in a creepypasta.
Usually
So,
not. Yeah. Skinwalkers come up all the time in creepypastas, definitely. Or like all those sorts of like modern urban folklore stuff like the movie Headcount, which is sort of about that kind of like creepypasta premise that you're at a party or a group and you're being attacked by a ghost or some sort of shapeshifter that pretends to be one of your friends and like pretends like it's always been there. And you have to be like, wait, I thought there were only 10 of us here. And you have to sort of like determine which of you is the shapeshifter kind of thing. That's a popular archetype of story now.
How about dropping them into molten lava,
That can do it. Yep, in Terminator 2.
molten lead? Yeah, exactly.
If they are some sort of amorphous shape that we understand can reconstitute itself, usually you have to break that down at a more of a molecular level in order to destroy it rather than just breaking it apart. So you can shoot it, you can smash it, but it's always going to come back unless you freeze it, melt it, irradiate it, or something along those lines.
Oh, I guess Pennywise was a shapeshifter, and he was defeated by the power of friendship.
Basically, yeah, not being afraid of him, more or less. You have to like kind of Freddy Krueger rules. The less attention you pay to him, and the more that you laugh at him, and the more that you aren't afraid, then you sort of remove his source of fuel and food, and that's what's allowing him to use his magic. So he can no longer survive. Or I guess he goes into hibernation back in the sewers for what, 20 years or something. All right. Thank you for participating in that round of killing monsters. Action horror is so based on defeating the threats. And of course, the different fun methods that we use to do that form the core hooks of these movies. And the ways that your characters come together and the relationships they form and the tools they use and methods and tactics they use in fighting monsters are often going to be the backbone of these amazing stories. Of course, every movie is going to consist of about 40 to 60 scenes, a scene being just those mini stories that propel a narrative forward. And they're not always just going to take place in one location, even though it does say that the element on most screenwriting softwares is called scene heading, otherwise known as sluglines. That doesn't mean that every time there's a new scene heading, it's a new scene. A scene is more defined in movie narrative terms based on goals, like short-term goals that are usually wrapped up in between 1 and 5 pages. So it's not like a play. A movie's really different than a play. My friend Morgan, when she taught the playwriting class here on Script Camp, even brought this into really clear contrast by saying something like, when you do a play and characters come in with big news, they're like, your grandfather's dead. We show the character's reaction, then we smash cut to the funeral. Because we have to move kind of quick. We have to like imply things happening between the scenes. Whereas in a play, you have to live in that moment. Your grandfather's dead. Now we're on in that moment with those characters. The audience has to live through the aftershock and like the ramification and the emotional consequences of that. The scenes just last much longer in theater. We live with the characters in those moments longer. Whereas in a movie, you kind of get a lot of mileage and propulsive power out of like the implied or assumed action between the scenes. You might imagine your character's like, well, how the heck are we going to get inside? Smash cut to later, a crowbar stabs through the door, right? We don't need to show them going to get the crowbar and buy the crowbar and decide to use the crowbar. That sort of like implicit space gives you that boost into the next sequence. I hope that makes some sense. So a group of scenes is called a sequence, of course, and sometimes people use those sort of interchangeably. They're like, it's an action sequence, even though it was really only one scene. So watch out for that. But usually think of it as like a group of scenes is a sequence. A group of sequences is a longer narrative, like a movie or TV show. Or I guess a group of sequences, is an act. A group of acts is going to be a long form narrative. Okay, scenes are like mini stories, so they have a beginning, a middle, and an end. They are always trying to, we're talking about propelling the story forward, meaning that your characters are making progress and clear change is happening. If scene after scene after scene happens where nothing changes, we're getting bored. That's one of the biggest things that's going to make the audience say, I feel like nothing's happening, or not enough is happening, if not enough progress is both being made and being telegraphed. What do I mean by telegraphing or showcasing progress?
Telegraphing, you mean like predicting?
Maybe a better word would be like flagging or like
Signposting.
there we go. Thank you. Signposting progress.
Um, so just to use my go-to example, like in a sports movie, we just look at the scoreboard. We see how the fans are reacting. We see how the team is reacting, or the coach.
Great. Yeah, those are easy metrics to use to assess progress, especially in sports or music movies where it's hard to sort of assess how well they're doing. Go ahead, Luke.
Would that be like newspapers, like headlines of newspapers? Am I on the
It
right
could be.
track?
I mean, it's sort of a filmic cliche in a way. You know, imagine like the newspaper spins up to the screen and says like the most recent plot development that shows us superheroes have become popular again, or whatever it is, right? You can do it. It's just it feels a little old fashioned. But that's
Mm.
just an example of how you might showcase progress. You could also another version is we show the news, right? Like the news on TV. And thanks to the actions of Superman, the crime in the city is down 50%. Oh, his goal was to eliminate crime in the city, so that might give us a metric to use to evaluate that. So it can be helpful to externalize things that way. Let's think of a sequence like how about your characters are saving money? That doesn't really look like much nowadays, does it? You get paid, it's a direct deposit to your bank account. How can we make that external and visual and show the progress there?
Piggy bank, but
There you
direct deposit.
go. Okay, you could like
You know,
maybe
right,
visualize a piggy bank. Go ahead.
rainy day jar kind of thing.
Okay, you're doing the opening sequence of Up, basically, where the characters are
Oh
like
yeah.
they have and it's you can see how in like animation especially you want to externalize things even more, like especially for kids animation where kids don't know what bank accounts are. Like it's easier to have a jar full of coins and we can see how many coins are in the jar, and they've written a note on the jar that says what it's for. Here's our new house money. Stick it on the jar, and then scene after scene goes by, we see it's filling up. Coins are being added to the jar. We can see how close they are to their goal. Probably works a little better than having them keep checking a cell phone, right? At their bank balance again and again. But in a more modern story, we could visualize, the number just ticking up in their account, perhaps, even though it wouldn't literally look like that, but that would be a sort of way of expressing like showing like a time lapse of their account over time. Or you could show a line graph if you have a character that's like a stock trader or something. Okay, so in
Definitely.
movies, we are always trying to externalize and make things clear in a visual way because we can't usually access your character's inner thoughts. So a good scene is going to require that sense of external progress that has been clarified to the audience. If progress is being made, but it's purely internal, it doesn't really count if we don't have a way to see it and to chart it. So what makes a good scene? Maybe tell us about an awesome scene from an action or a horror movie. Dealer's choice, whatever you want. What's a scene that stands out that you thought was cool and good, and why did you think so?
Oh, there's so many to choose from. Give me a second.
Okay. Maybe I'll start just to give everyone some time, unless you have something. Go ahead, Luke.
I just had the thing on the mind. It's a lot of good scenes. The scene where the dog turns into the monster just looks really cool. You get the reaction from the characters, like, what the hell is going on? Um,
Mhm.
and it, creates drama, creates a big problem for our characters.
Definitely. That's their first encounter with the monster, isn't it? That's the first time they see it.
Right.
So, and let's also think of the lead up to that scene, because I think we're always thinking, how do we transition into and how do we transition out of all these big moments? That's part of what makes them so great. And the sheer anticipation you get out of watching the dog just starting to act weird in the base, it adds so much tension there. Like it's all friendly and seems all nice when it shows up, right? Everybody loves a dog. And then as soon as it's on its own, it stops jumping and barking and acting all excited and just gets very quiet and very still. It's some of the best dog acting you've ever seen in your life. And it plods
Mhm.
very deliberately and very slowly down a hallway, just looking in rooms. It just like glances into rooms left and right, passes by the dog trainer and goes into the kennel. And that's like the lead up to that moment. So by the time we get there, we're like, oh God, what the heck is going on in there? What's up with this dog? We haven't even seen the monster. So it's the reveal to the audience too. It's shocking. It shows us a taste of what the creature is capable of, like combining different animals together. We see it turn into like a mutated dog thing with several different heads sticking out of it. And we also get a sense of what is going to be able to defeat it, because if you remember, that's the scene where they use the flamethrower on it for the first time. So a good amount of progress being made, despite the fact that it's just we get attacked by the monster, we hurt the monster, but it gets away. We learn the audience is exposed to the threat for the first time. The characters get a good sense of now what is possible in the world and where's the story seem like it's going. Like we're going to have to deal with this for the rest of the story. And also we get a good sense of how we're going to be able to continue to combat it. So a good amount of information there.
How about Evil Dead 2?
All right. I know it by heart.
No.
Hit me.
How about the scene where Ash's hand is possessed and attacking him?
Oh yeah, it's one of the best scenes in any movie. Taking inspiration from like Three Stooges. Yeah, exactly. So well, why don't you tell us why you like it, why it's so good before I go off on it?
It's hilarious. It's, I don't know, completely over the top. It keeps escalating. It has so many little gags. Like, I mean, it's a sequence too. Like he fights his hand, he cuts his hand off with a chainsaw, which is also just a joke. He's like, that line, "Who's laughing now?" as he's like slicing off his own hand. And then the next scene, we see him put it in a under a trash bin, and he puts a bunch of books on top of it, like heavy books. And the book on top just says "A Farewell to Arms"
Farewell to
as the
Arms.
title.
Of course.
So it just it's ridiculous. It's I don't know. They put a lot of uh time and effort into that one sequence, and Bruce Campbell's acting is just incredible. He's like Jim Carrey level physicality in that sequence.
Definitely. When he grabs his hair and flips himself over.
Yeah.
So good. Great slapstick, great escalation. You play a lot of different games with a simple idea. Your hand is coming to life and attacking you. And we get like 3 or 4 scenes out of that, because there's the scene after where it escapes, then it goes into the walls, and now he's trying to shoot it. He's trying to figure out where it went. Blood is spraying out of the walls as he fires at it. So yeah, Evil Dead movies are just a great study in escalation. Any one of them. Any other scenes you guys want to shout out? What makes for these good scenes? I think we're touching on a couple topics. Go ahead.
I can shout out a couple of really sad ones from The Fly and The Fly 2.
Okay.
Um, there is I'll just say the dog from The Fly 2, and if you know, you know. And if you don't, then I don't know what to tell you. Don't watch it.
You're not gonna like it, probably. Yeah. I actually have only seen The Fly once, so I don't even know what you mean, but I'm guessing it's terrible. Whatever happens to this poor
It,
dog.
whatever you're imagining, it's worse. And it's really sad. But the ending of The Fly 1 really stuck with me. It's really powerful ending. Um, where Brundle has completely transformed into Brundlefly. They actually call it the space bug, like in the behind the scenes. His final form, he's trying to merge with his pregnant girlfriend to cure his condition because he's lost his mind. He has the mind of an insect. And during the thing, the I don't know, the conflict, the whatever um, I don't even remember how it happens, but the door to the telepod is opened, and he teleports with part of the telepod, and it's the most horrible thing. And so he's crawling out of the telepod with all this like mechanical um, bits sort of like melded into his physiology, and um, his girlfriend, pregnant girlfriend, is the one that has to kill him. She's like pointing the shotgun at him like as he's crawling towards her, and she's like she can't bring herself to pull the trigger, but she even though she can see he's in so much pain, and then his little claw comes up and like grabs the tip of the shotgun and like puts it to his head. Gets me every time.
It's sad when the monster knows they're a monster, knows that they shouldn't exist or can't continue to exist. Yeah, the very gross movie. Lots of vomit stuff in that movie. So it's
Yeah,
not
and
hard to recommend
uh,
to almost anyone, but uh,
it's
it would.
great
It's very
though.
cool.
It's yeah, and the unrated version has some scenes with the baboon that are really shocking.
Oh yeah, the poor baboons. Sorry, when he kills the first one, he's just like, "Sorry, I killed your brother." The other one.
Yeah, it's a great movie. It is hard to watch though. It really will stick with you.
Very gross. All right, so we are talking about what makes great scenes. We're looking, or in the just the ones we've mentioned, we've talked about escalation. So the scene starts with the character applying one tactic, or even the antagonist applying one tactic, and then they try something else that's more intense. They redouble their efforts. They change their methods. They're forced to get more creative and dig down deeper. We don't really have an excuse to include non-interesting scenes. And if you find yourself saying, "Well, I have to include this boring scene here," just and I know it's boring, but it's just to get to the next moment. That's okay for your draft, but like when it comes to the final draft, you want to look at those again. And I would often recommend something that doesn't seem like it would work, but it actually does. Look at the most boring scenes you have and ask, what could make this someone's favorite scene in the entire movie? Is there something that I can really bring out of this moment and try to turn your greatest weaknesses into your strengths? So see if there's something that your movie's really missing and see if those boring scenes can somehow support that. Can you find a way to make that architecture that connects us from moment to moment actually really interesting to walk on? That is the great challenge. So we have to boil down to only the most important scenes, especially if in your outline you have like a catalyst that's like a full paragraph long. That means that you haven't quite picked the most important thing, probably. If it's a list of events, if it's just a big description of one event, you're probably fine. But uh, structure is divided between sequences and single beats. So we start with opening image. We go, which is a single beat. We go into intro, which is a sequence. We go to catalyst, which is a single beat. That's followed by trying the locks, which is a sequence, followed by the act break, which is a single beat. It goes like that the whole way through. So we have to be just very careful about the scenes that we make into these turning points, and that we have to make sure that each one is meeting its structural needs and doing all the work that it needs to do. Um, when a scene is boring, I guess we would define a boring scene as one where the emotion is not coming through or is not present. That's often a note that I end up giving. It's just that I don't know what the characters are feeling, or after almost every line, I'm asking, where's the reaction shot? In what manner, mood, or method is the character doing that? It'll just be like, he crosses the room, he sits down. When you can like infuse every one of those lines with so much more character data, some writers are even like, well, I want to leave room for the actor to do it themselves. I want to leave. Sorry, my headphones died. Can you guys still hear me?
Yeah, it cut out for a little bit, but
Like,
I can hear you.
change the output to my speakers. Okay, we'll try that now. Can you say something really quick, Luke?
Hello.
Okay, that got it. Thank you. I might just have to mute while other people are talking due to the feedback issue. Okay, what was I just saying? Oh, so some writers will even say things like, well, I want to leave room for the actor to decide how they want to do that moment. And not really seeing that in order to carry an arc, we have to be always knowing what that character is thinking and feeling and how they're processing what has just happened to them, how they're planning what to do next, and how they are experiencing these scenes in the moment. So try not to leave too much ambiguity saying like, well, I don't care how they cross the room. I don't care how they sit down. That's usually just not going to give us much to go on. You need a little more than that. So you'll get a lot more of that mileage out of infusing every line with that kind of character information. We should be knowing it should be clear to us what your characters are thinking, feeling, wanting, and how they're making progress towards those things. So avoid that issue of no emotion by making sure to always be clarifying, especially at the end of scenes. How did that impact someone? Is it just a look on their face? Is it the way that they turn away? Is it, find some action that can showcase how that just affected them and where are they at now? As we often say, like what is their current emotional state? One of the biggest questions when writing is, where is my protagonist at right now? The other big thing that's going to make your scenes really drag is every moment might be playing out exactly like you think it will happen. It could be that there's nothing even really wrong with the script. It's like it's fine and the structural beats are basically working, but it just feels like we've sort of seen it before and there's no sense of surprise. There's no sense of freshness. There's nothing that's really compelling about this because I just think I know how it will go and then it basically goes that way. So careful with that. If you're getting that note or you're finding that getting that feeling, you might need to shake things up, add some curveballs here and there. Find a different setting for the scenes to be taking place in. Add a ticking clock, add a sense of urgency, add a bit more conflict. Find a different kind of conflict than we would have expected. Let's do a new exercise called Only Interesting Scenes exercise. I'm going to skip a couple slides. Okay, we're going to do action horror writing. We have a maximum of 5 scenes to tell these stories. So we're going to have to come up with just a few scene cards. You'll have a few minutes to do this. We have a couple options for stories. It ranges from just a title to like a sentence, kind of almost like a log line. I have Blob Commando, Vampires on a Plane, Possessed by the Ghost of a Samurai, which I guess that's either like a light novel title or maybe that's just the premise of the story. That doesn't have to be the title. Strange Disease that makes people try to kill you on sight. Tankpocalypse. A tank crew must cross the deadly wasteland before an epic storm destroys everything left of society. That's just kind of like Tank Girl, isn't it? Now that I write it out. Okay, so we will need some volunteers to take a swing at this. You guys will have some time to write out just 5 scene ideas. It could just be 1 sentence per scene, and try to take us through that whole little story. You'll have to just pick the interesting ones, though. So let's talk about them first before we go into the exercise. And let's ask which one of these seems interesting. What do you think that movie would be? And how would you kind of approach it? Any volunteers?
I guess I will go if no one else will.
Oh, Gray just left. Great. All right. What do you think? Which one is interesting?
Let's go with Blob Commando.
Okay. What are you thinking?
Thinking a lot of things. It could be just about anything. But the Blob meets Commando. I guess he's an alien blob trying to take down I don't know, fighting the drug war in Central America in the 1980s or something like this.
Oh, okay. I wonder, why does an alien blob care about the drug war? I wonder.
I mean, it could be a lot of things. That's just where my brain goes initially. Maybe there's some kind of substance that is like a threat to his home world, and he's trying to exterminate it. Like Earth is like exporting narcotics to the rest of the galaxy, so he's here to put a stop to it.
Okay, pretty good. So maybe like comet lands on Earth, it has a substance on it that people start distributing as a kind of drug. The alien cop basically shows up to put a stop to the distribution of the substance that's maybe going to turn people into monsters or something like that.
Maybe it's more like the stuff, where like they find the substance on Earth. They find the Tiberium, or they find whatever it is, and start using it, and that triggers this commando to show up, and he has to stop it.
Oh, okay. Interesting. Okay, so sort of like like it's saying that it triggers him to show up does make it sort of feel like a cop in a way. He's like a galactic enforcer of some kind, like a good predator almost.
Yeah.
Pretty cool. Any idea how you'd approach your 5 scenes? You could just brainstorm if you want, or we could just launch right into it. But what do you think?
The most essential moments. Okay, so obviously the first most essential moment would be the discovery of the substance on Earth and its distribution. It would be kind of like a montage,
Yeah.
probably just right out of the stuff, something like that.
Okay, sounds good. We got 4 scenes left.
Then we need the arrival of the alien commando, probably an action set piece where he like crash lands into let's give it a name. All these names already exist. What's a Narkex. Okay, so he crashes into a Narkex factory and just, you know, guns a-blazing, big action set piece. The humans are fighting back. He's, using all his like sci-fi predator toys and shape-shifting abilities. So that's our next essential scene. Essential scene. I guess we need a counterattack. Like the military launches some kind of counteroffensive. They get their best guys. They send the troops, they send the planes, the whatever it is. Maybe they have some kind of a giant mecha. I don't know how silly we want to be.
Up to you.
But that's so we need like the counteroffensive.
Just something to think about. You don't have to if you really like this version, then absolutely go for it. But I would just say it sounds a little like you're trying to do a feature in 5 scenes, as opposed to like a short film in which you know it doesn't have to be like big set pieces every single scene. You can sort of have a little more build up. And for instance, we might for a 5 scene short film about an alien blob commando, we might be building up to just one action sequence, but with a little more.
Yeah, I must have
information.
missed the short film thing. If it's a short film, I would structure it totally different. I would start at the breaking point of like him arriving on Earth.
Oh,
Earth would already be taken over by the substance, the Narcex.
right.
And then we build to the big climax at the end, which would probably be a lot smaller scale.
Makes sense. Yeah. I could see it sort of sounded like if you were describing each of your scenes as like a sequence of a feature, like that would have been like the 5 parts of that, or like the 5 divisions of that movie, and it could definitely work. But yeah, thinking in short film, we usually are trying to scale things down a little bit and ensuring that we're not rushing too far through and trying to cover too much ground. So it's rare for every scene in a short to be an action sequence.
I guess, is there a central relationship in this short film? Is the Blob Commando our hero or our villain?
Good
I
question.
guess that would change things.
Yeah.
Let's make him the hero. And I guess we don't need a central relationship outside of him reporting back to Space Command or something like this.
Up to you.
So our scenes would
Yeah.
be
Yeah.
we just open on him arriving on Earth. That's an essential scene. Next scene would be him tracking down, I don't know, the factory that produces the Narcex or something that's like sending it into space.
Sure.
The launch facility. He's got to find the launch facility. Then we attack the launch facility. Then we fail. And is our hero going to make it? That's scene number 4. And then number 5, he or it wins the day and blows the Narcex factory into oblivion and returns to his home planet all in one fell swoop.
Okay.
It's more like 6, but
Yeah.
I was close.
Yeah, you're close. That's okay. This is just the brainstorming phase. So I would also think maybe like, especially because you have so few scenes, you would maybe want to give a more personal reason for your hero to be involved. If it's just like, here's a job, here's another day at work, then
Yeah.
and that's your main character. You want to maybe try to find a little more investment there. Whether it's I have a particularly good reason for wanting to doing my job.
Oh, I got it.
Go ahead.
He's the last of his kind. Narcex wiped out his home planet,
There you go.
and he's on it. He's an avenging angel, like ridding the universe of this horrible substance.
Great. Oh, he's like chasing it from planet to planet, trying to wipe it all out. That's pretty cool. He's like a bounty hunter. It's like almost reminds me of like Mandalorian or that sort of thing. Okay, nice job. You outlined a lot of it. I'm going to see if we can get one more volunteer. Lou, do you want to give this a try?
Sure.
All right. Which of these grabs your attention?
I was thinking about vampires on a plane, but you couldn't really go anywhere. Let's try possessed by a ghost of a samurai.
Okay. I like that one a lot. What do you think? What comes to mind?
So I guess opening scene, he
Well, before you start laying out, like before you go in chronological order, just talk more broadly about the idea. Like, what would you be building to? What kind of scenes would you want to see? Who would the hero be? Just start a little farther back.
Well, he gets possessed by samurai just in the beginning.
Who is he?
I'm not going in order, but that obviously needs to happen. The samurai had a mission in life. I guess to live by the Bushido or whatever that was. And kind of like fish out of water, where this maybe it's like, I don't know, like a Jim Carrey movie where he's living one way, not living honorably, and he is now forced to live in like his dishonorable world with a lot of honor. I'm thinking about like Liar Liar, where he can no longer lie, so he has to like live honorably.
So what's the least honorable profession that a modern person would have?
I don't know. I think politician, but that just is like the first thing that comes to mind. But you know, there's a lot of other dishonor. Yeah, like a CEO, billionaire, something like that.
Okay, good potential there. And so, in terms of the set pieces that you'd want to build to, what do you think you could do with character, especially because we're in action horror, right? So, what kind of set pieces do you think would be supported by this idea?
Well, there's some big event going down in his life that requires him to be. I don't know, what else are samurai known for? The eight virtues and things like that. I think of a calligraphy,
Poetry.
perfect, and poetry. Um, so
You want
there's
to like sword fights people?
oh yeah,
It's a samurai. We're trying to like capitalize on the premise, right? Or like utilize the premise to its full. If I saw that on a poster, I would think there would be at least one scene where the character sword fights somebody.
Okay. Yeah.
Unless you
now
don't
I'm trying to work this in.
You don't have to do that. I'm just saying, as a viewer, that's what I would expect. If you have something better, I'm all ears.
So maybe he's a politician and there's like an assassination attempt on him.
There you go.
And you know, he masterfully outwits like the Secret Service and stuff like that, like does better than them. Yeah. So big set pieces, him fighting off a bunch of assassins who come after him.
Okay, great. Do you think this would be set in Japan, or is this set? Would this be set somewhere else? What do you think?
So I guess it's a politician who's gone to Japan. That would be like the opening. He's vacationing in like ancient temple, gets possessed by the ghost of the samurai. Um, and can I go into the actual scenes now?
Sure, yeah, whatever you want. Take it away.
Okay. So he gets possessed. And then the second scene, he has to kind of, I'm trying to think, is he always possessed or not always possessed? Maybe it's like a duality thing where he's kind of can't really control when he gets possessed. And that's the second scene. Next scene would be he has to give a big speech about some trade deal between Japan and the United States. And it goes poorly because he becomes the samurai halfway through. And then that's the low point of the story. And then the fourth scene is him kind of dealing with the political fallout of him screwing up this speech. But then the last scene is him thwarting an assassination attempt, and then he's back up in the polls and he becomes president. And I think
Okay.
that's a nice little roller coaster.
All right, yeah. Character becomes the president by the end. Good ending. So a couple things. One, what you usually will want to start, like the opening scene might end in a short film with the catalyst, like the character getting possessed, but you probably want to start out by outlining the problem, which might be something like my numbers are down. People think I'm not honorable. They think I'm dishonest, whatever it is, right? So you probably want to start out, especially foreshadowing the eventual assassination. You have him on the phone with his assistant, something like that. He's saying, like, don't worry about the numbers. We're America. We do what we want. Like, I don't care what people think of me. I think we need to see especially if you're doing the Jim Carrey thing. The Jim Carrey thing starts with he's a dishonest dad who's not there for his kid. But we don't start with the wish, right? We have to know what the problem is before we know what sort of the genre you're referring to is called out of the bottle. What out of the bottle plot development is going to answer their internal need. So in this case, it seems like if you're saying his problem is that he's dishonorable, everyone thinks he's a liar and is going to screw over Japan in this trade deal. And he's going to. That's true. He really is planning on that, but he's not really, like, I guess, bothered by it at the moment. Then your second scene would probably be the possession. I think you also probably want a scene where your character talks to the the entity that's possessing them, is like, who are you? What do you want? That kind of thing. Which maybe you might be able to combine that with one of the scenes that you had there as well. But it's just sort of like it's almost like a free beat. And every story like this, and every Venom, and every like Upgrade, anything where there's someone controlling you or sort of controlling you, there's often the characters looking in the mirror while they do it, aren't they? But it's the scene where they try to, like, address the entity. Who are you? What do you want? That kind of stuff, which would make a good opportunity for your especially if you're saying the samurai is sort of the answer to his problem of being dishonorable. Then this guy could be like, I took residence in your heart because I could tell there was great evil in it, something like that, right? We sort of understand why he's been possessed by this guy and how this is answering that internal question. So you got a pretty good basis there. It just felt like there was maybe you were rushing a little bit without outlining what the character's internal problem was. You were giving us the answer before we knew the question.
Mm.
Make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Good job though. And so I guess your fourth or fifth scene would probably be the assassination. And I think the important thing is at the end of that, if you imagine that he was about to screw over Japan on some trade deal, we'd probably want to see, like, did this experience with the samurai possessing him and sort of saving his life using these principles of honor and the old-fashioned ways, is that going to get him to change or not? So that might be just like a beat that you want to land on at the end. He's like, okay, you know what? Forget this deal. I'm going to ignore the orders that I got to implement this unfair deal because it's not honorable. And I've learned that lesson. Or he could double down and be like, screw the samurai. Like, I'm going to get rid of the spirit no matter what. You just have to, I just pick the way that this has affected your character. Hope that makes sense.
Yep. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing. All right. We went to the rest of these. Okay. Well, we've lost almost every member of this class. I don't know why. I guess sometimes you can predict for these things. Sometimes you have more activities. You're like, how do we hold everyone's engagement? And sometimes life just gets in the way. Who knows? But
I love my voice and my
you don't have to play my own.
sleepiness.
You are fine. You are here. We will just kind of move closer to the end because I guess we've already the students that are here. We've reviewed discovery and conflict scenes before. Let me ask, do you guys here have any questions on what we talked about today before we go into open lab and sharing outlines or questions for feedback?
I guess we could talk a little bit more about signposting, because it's one of these nebulous ideas that I'm always trying to nail down. And you were talking about character reactions, sort of telling us how to feel and where we are, but how can we show where we are in their arc with that kind of idea? Like, I know how to do trifail cycles, I know how to show how they're feeling currently, but I'm a little unclear on how to, again, just show what stage of their arc they're actually at, like how close or how far away they are from the thing, just through reactions.
Sure. So this comes up a lot in stories that are based on charting the progress of a relationship. And I'm thinking, for instance, let's think of a movie like Whiplash. Whiplash is all about this college drummer that's trying to win the approval of a really mean mentor figure that's like the coach of not the coach, what do you call it? The leader of the jazz band. And he's like the most hard-ass, ruthless conductor ever. So there's all these kinds of metrics that we can use to evaluate what he thinks of people. First of all, how he treats them and talks to them, which is pretty bad for everyone if you've seen the movie. He screams at people and swears at them and breaks them down and insults them and all these things. He does that to everyone, including the people that he likes, as a way of kind of testing them. But then there's all these kinds of additional charts of progress on the team, or on the band, like who's playing the first drum, or who has like the first seat at the drum, or for instance, uh, so not just like what is your position on the band, as in like where does the teacher place you, but there's a part where he's even like, no, you have to turn his pages, like that sort of stuff, right? Where there's these little like you can see the level of respect that the mentor figure has for him based on what he allows him to do or to not do, based on his reactions to his behavior and to his mistakes and things like that, right? So I think in especially relationship stories that are all based on what does somebody think of somebody else, you have to add those little metrics. Like, for instance, you have a character that is like, "Can I get your number?" early on, and they're like, "Oh no, sorry, I don't give my number to just anybody." Then at some point in the movie, it's a really big deal when that character's like, "Can I get your number?" Right? So you're sort of adding like your own little games. You're adding your own kind of benchmarks that might be just based on that person's behavior, like some metric that
Okay.
person themselves might use. Go ahead.
Showing sort of what they're willing to do versus what they're not unwilling to do, how that changes.
Yeah, that's a great one. I really liked how they did this in this one show called Sirens, which is a sitcom about paramedics. There's a US version and also a UK version, though I don't think they lasted too long. It was on USA. And it uses this great way of showing how the characters really feel about each other, because they talk about this idea of who's your emergency contact, right? That's actually a highly trusted position. And whether it's in your phone or whether it's who you give at the hospital, as for your, who is my emergency contact, that person that you choose is someone you really trust and care about. And then the two main characters, these two guys, are giving each other shit the whole episode. It seems like they they have this sort of rough banter with each other. They're mean to each other sometimes, but at the end of the episode you see the one of them adds the other one as his emergency contact in the phone. It's like, because at the end of the day they trust each other and they need each other. Such a clear way to show that, just typing in, or he just scrolls through his phone and just clicks on emergency contact and we see it's that guy's number, and we just sort of see him like confirm, yep, that's my guy. Such a nice way of externalizing how characters feel about each other. So yeah, all the ways that your characters react to each other, the way that they show approval or disapproval of each other, and those little benchmarks that they can sort of create for themselves. I will never cross this line, and then eventually they do cross that line for somebody. Like where they draw those lines and how they step over them or refuse to step over them, those are going to be your main tool to use.
Okay, I think that's pretty helpful. Is there a way to externalize when their internal goal or motivation changes?
Oh yeah, all kinds of ways. You can I could just like give you an example from a way I'm doing it in the script I'm working on now. We have a character that's losing hope that they're ever going to find her sister that was kidnapped by the cartel. And so she's going around with her mom. They're sticking up posters, missing posters, and her mom has to leave for some reason. She's like, "Okay, I'll put the rest of them up." Her mom leaves, and then we just go into slow motion as she looks down at the posters and just drops them, and just lets them blow away in the breeze. And we see that sort of shows that she's not even going to put them up. She doesn't think they're going to find her at this point. So the visual is just watching these missing posters just billow down the street. So you can do stuff like that. You can find some prop that represents the thing. You have a character that has their lanyard from their office that they always hang on the same hook, but this time they cut it in half, or they throw it on the ground rather than putting it on the hook. Might show that they're no longer loyal to that company. You might find like flags and symbols are a really clear way people do this. Go ahead.
What if it's the same symbol? I have a symbol in my Kids on Fire script. It's a WWJD bracelet, but the motivation changes. Like at the beginning, he's looking at it and thinking one thing, and at the end, he's looking at it and thinking a completely other thing. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, the meaning of a symbol can change. Absolutely. If your character's relationship to that symbol has changed. So I think that the thing that would be
Okay.
different would be the reaction to that thing, or you could even find some visual way to show that it's been marked in some way. Like that's the sort of thing, like you know, at the end of the story, the money's got blood all over it, or that sort of thing. That's like that's what we were trying to get the whole time, but now we end the movie on a shot of the money, asking like, was it worth it? That sort of thing. So you can find some way to like change the prop if you want. But in any case, it's mostly your character's reaction to and relationship to that thing that's really going to be different.
Okay.
So that's what you got to
Now that I
externalize. Good.
now that I think about it, Dan Harmon does this in his story circle thing.
A beat specifically about externalizing the internal change.
No, usually they just return having changed, but they like their motivation. They get the thing that they want, but then they realize, oh, I didn't really want that. Like that made my life worse in some way.
Exactly.
And a lot of times that's like externalized in the symbol when they feel differently about it at the end.
Right. Absolutely. And you can also really tell when that's not there, when when that's missing or when that's absent, and the characters kind of they don't really return having changed, or they sort of get everything they wanted despite not having really had to sacrifice anything for it. It really shows. To me, a big example of that is Annie. I have a whole rant about Annie, and I like Annie because
Oh, no.
I accompanied the play like 4 times on piano, so I know it pretty well. But the
Oh, I thought you were talking about the character from Community for some reason.
no, no, Annie Adderall. I don't have a problem with her. Well, never mind. I won't rant about Annie. Nobody asked. But if anybody wants to know my spiel about the ending of Annie, I have a way better pitch. Anyway, we'll reopen to
I don't
questions.
even remember the ending, but I would love to hear your spiel on it at some point.
Okay. Maybe I'll give it to you in like 2 sentences. How about that? I can make it concise.
Okay.
Do you remember Daddy Warbucks?
Yeah.
He is in danger of losing it all, but then at the end, the president steps in and saves Daddy Warbucks' mansion, and Annie and all of her friends get to move into there and live in there with him. And so it's all fine, and they get to be rich after all. I am pretty sure that it would be a lot better if Daddy Warbucks does lose everything, but they find that family together and they live in this dilapidated mansion together, and the endings should be a reprise of Hard Knock Life as they clean up the mansion the way that they clean up the orphanage at the beginning. Just saying. And then it finishes with them watching the sun come up from the porch. The sun will come up tomorrow, even though they're not rich.
Oh,
You know, like the wealth wasn't the
Yeah.
point. Like they shouldn't, like this movie sort of saying, you'll be fine, it'll be okay as long as the president comes in and saves you and you're rich, then you'll be happy. Like the point of it should have been the family, not the money. What are we doing? But I guess when it came out, it was a very aspirational kind of ending, right? Like,
yeah, I can see the pros and cons. Like it's a wish fulfillment ending versus a emotional fulfillment ending.
right. I just think it would have made the story's point a lot better if it wasn't about the money. Like we can be happy without the money.
Yeah. They
Anyway,
always do that. It's not about the money, and then once they've learned that lesson, they get
get the
rich.
money anyway. Yes, exactly. But I don't know. I'll be on Annie all day if I start ranting about it, but that's the short version. Let's set up any last questions, then we'll share outlines if you have anything to work on or look at.
So, for scene cards, I had a question on Friday about like Blake Snyder's starting at positive and ending on negative. You said you don't really subscribe to that, but if you were doing it, does it have to be if you end on negative, you have to again start on negative? Do you think that, or do you just not
No, I
hold
don't.
to it at all?
I don't think that's part. Well, so just, I mean, I don't use that myself, but if you were to, I don't think that's part of it. I don't think that the character has to start at the same place that you, or I don't think that, I think that's about like the energy of the scene or like the emotion of the scene or the kind of like the experience, I'm not even sure exactly if it's more about the audience or more about the characters. It's been a while since I've read that rule, but I don't think that it has to match up to how the last one ended. I think you can go from positive to negative, and the next scene can also be positive to negative.
Okay,
But
that's good because that's what I've been.
yeah, I don't really use it myself, but if it helps you, then absolutely go for it.
All right.
Okay, anything you guys want to share for feedback?
I don't quite think my pilot outline is ready.
Okay.
We could do log lines maybe.
Sure. What do you got?
What do I have? I don't know. Do you have anything, Lou, while I'm looking?
Well, I have log line, I have beat sheet, but you already looked at that. I have scene cards. I have some scenes. I don't know. Guess I can show my scene cards.
If you want to.
Sure.
And you said you already
Yeah.
started scenes, right? So this is pretty much locked in.
Yes.
Okay.
That would be good to get some eyes on it.
Okay.
Should I put it in the chat?
In docs and assignments would be best so we can keep track of it.
That's
There you go.
assignments. All right. All right, there it is.
Are you sure? I just tagged you in the chat.
Put it in the assignment.
Are you on Script Camp or WordCamp?
Script camp.
So I'm looking.
Hold on.
I'm looking right at the thread. I don't see a post in it, but I just tagged you in it, so you should see a pop up.
Huh? Oh, there it is. Okay.
Oh, you posted it in an archive thread.
Whoops.
That's
All right, there it is.
all right. Do you think we could put this in single space?
Sure.
Okay.
Let me do that. Oh, it's very long. Oh, okay.
What did I just do? Oh, I'm in suggestion mode. Can you just click the accept changes there?
Accept what?
Accept the changes. Just click the check mark next to the suggestion that I just made.
Yes. Boom. There you go.
Okay. All right, so we are at 13 pages. Looks like you've got a good amount of detail. This would probably take about an hour to review all of this, but I can do 5 pages, so we could look at. Do you want to look at first act?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. All right, so we're going to break into 2. Let's see how well we're setting everything up. Why is my text so small? There we go. All right, Franklin. This is political thriller, investigative drama, JFK, Psycho, Fargo. When a skeptical private investigator in 1989 Nebraska uncovers a child abuse ring stretching from the quaint Midwest all the way to Washington, D.C., he must expose the truth before the FBI can destroy him, his family, and the countless victims he swore to protect. Oh, wow, not just child abuse ring, but one that is sort of run or supported by the FBI, I guess is what you're saying, too.
Mhm.
Okay. All right. Act 1 setup. And we are starting at a football game. Alicia Owen, embarrassed by her virginity, goes along with Jeff Hubel to a mysterious party. She's in, I guess that's the plus minus thing. Clarifying what the impact was, I suppose. So just the first sentence, I guess, is that the card?
Yes.
The A of each of these. Okay. And you need page numbers on these. Like so like just numbers on scenes is just not a helpful metric. We need to know what pages that these are going to take place on. So the piece that's missing here is like 1 to 2, 3 to 5. Just page numbers for each card.
Okay.
help you keep track of your pacing. Okay, she drives with Jeff to the party. Soon she discovers things aren't what they seem. Wait a minute. So if there's no page numbers on here and there's no structure. Oh, these are the acts structure is at least on here. So this is the break into two here. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay, got it. So the first, I guess, 16 scenes is your first act. So which one's your catalyst then?
Oh yeah, sorry. Sorry, I didn't forgot that I didn't add this in.
Oh, good.
All right, so 1 to 3 is the hook.
Oh, that's
Uh,
okay.
Introduction is 4 to. Actually, I'm not exactly sure where. It's a long introduction. The catalyst should be he takes the case.
In a lot of stories like this, that's what it is. It doesn't have to be that.
All right, so the catalyst is after 13.
After 13, meaning 14? Right here?
No, 13.
Oh, okay. I'll just highlight it for now if that's okay. Okay. That's all we need to do for now. I won't make you label the whole thing, but just to get a sense of where we are.
Okay.
All right. So this is the cold open here. So Alicia drives with Jeff to the party, but soon discovers things aren't what they seem, meaning what? Jeff leads Alicia into the building. She's reluctant, but assures herself that everything will be fine. She is then abducted into the pedophilic sex party. All right, she's been kidnapped by the elites. So these don't sound like distinct scenes. This sounds like kind of these two sound like the same moment. Just it sounds like just kind of sort of restating the same thing twice here.
Yeah, kind of.
Okay.
It's
So
I'll work on that.
So you don't need to do the scene cards based on the slugline locations. I would do them I would delineate your scenes based on the conflict, right? So to begin with, you might start with scene 1. Alicia under the bleachers, right? Or Alicia gets convinced to go to the thing. Then you have maybe your second scene is Alicia gets kidnapped. Like that's the name of that sequence there. But you don't really need to go into the interior, exterior like locations. It's just not that relevant for the card stage.
Yeah, I just did it. I really just did it for the hook because I had already written it.
Oh, okay.
So the rest of it is should be the way you want it.
Okay. All right. So we go to the building. She gets kidnapped. Okay, that's our cold open. We understand the central problem of the story. Let's get into the intro. Gary Cardori's office. Reverend Simon Hoover tries to convince private investigator Gary Cardori that his daughter's been kidnapped by Satanists. He reveals that his daughter's run away by herself to escape Simon's abuses. This meeting's a sting operation and Simon gets arrested. Okay, nice little twist there. Kind of reminds me of the opening of Mr. Robot. We then go into the next scene, the offices. Gary derides conspiracy theories. Okay, so he's starting in this position of, I don't really, he would be disinclined to believe that this conspiracy was happening at all. His assistant, Karen Ormiston, tells him of another conspiracy theory, the Franklin scandal, with its allegations of child abuse. Gary brushes it off as a police matter, none of his business. So is it that he thinks it's a police matter, or is it he doesn't think it's true?
Both. He thinks that the police haven't found anything, so that makes it not true.
Got it. Okay. Scene 6. Okay. Senator Logan Schmidt brings the Franklin Committee's public hearing to order. He's nervous about the hearing, but witness after witness comes forward to give credibility to the victims. When it's all said and done, the Franklin Committee is flying high. What is the Franklin Committee?
The State Senate committee that was investigating the scandal.
Okay, so when you say they're flying high, you mean they just got lots of evidence and they think they will be able to convict who they need?
Yes.
Okay. And your character was not there for that. This just seems like we're cutting elsewhere for this part. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he's not there.
All right. Nebraska's unicameral. What is that? Is that a building? What is the unicameral?
It's their legislature. They have just one body of state senate, so it's called the unicameral.
Oh, government building. Okay. The Franklin Committee gives a press conference to divulge the findings of the hearings. They're met with hostility from the press, especially Peter Citron of the Omaha World Herald. Lauren is left stunned by the backlash. What is the basis of the backlash?
That people think that this is just a witch hunt against powerful people.
Against generalized powerful people or against specific powerful people?
Against the people being accused in the Franklin scandal.
Okay, there you go. So I would include that in the scene card. That feels really relevant. So that's sort of saying
Yeah.
you're just trying to smear the police chief or whatever it is. Is it sort of like that?
Yes.
Okay, gotcha. So that feels relevant to include specifically who feels that they're under fire from that and who is actually being accused and what is their standing in the community. Are they there to speak to the allegations or is this just people stepping up and defending them? So that way we see what their reputation is in the community. So this is a good place for you to
Okay.
introduce who is actually the suspect for this. Who is it that they think is already responsible?
So there's Lauren King, who is being charged with embezzlement, but also has allegations of child abuse against him. And people connected with him,
Was that a big...
like the chief of police.
Oh, the chief of police, right. I seem to remember last time you said something about a guy who runs a bank or something like that. Am I misremembering that?
Yeah, it's a credit union, and it got like raided on improprieties, embezzling $40 million.
Okay, but that's not related to the kidnappings, is it?
Well, it comes as a result of them getting raided, is that these allegations against him come out, and this committee is impaneled to look into if there's anything there to the child abuse allegations.
Oh, so while they're investigating the embezzlement, they find a, information related to other crimes. Okay, I could see how
Yes.
that can get tricky because it can be something might be inadmissible if you're investigating for something else, or if it's like not related to the crime you're looking for, if it's not on the warrant. I'm sure you're aware of all the issues that can come up there.
Right.
All right. Lauren Schmidt's office. The Franklin Committee must release an interim report on their findings and highlight the future of the investigation. Ernie Chambers, Kirk Naylor, and Jerry Lowe implore Lauren to release everything. So, really quickly, Lauren was a senator. That's right. Okay. And he is running the committee to investigate this. Is that right?
Yes.
He is. Okay. So he's sort of like the lead investigator. Okay. Or the one in charge of the investigators. All right. So they have to release something. Lauren has not released everything yet. He wants to, but he's fearful of the backlash. In the end, he secretly adds an addendum to the report saying there's no credible evidence of child abuse. Okay, so he's just sort of folding spinelessly because he is afraid of something bad happening to them as a result of this. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. And then are you saying that actually the report comes out now, or the report has not yet come out?
It comes out, but we go back to Gary. And then the next scene with Lauren is the backlash of him doing that.
Okay, so it comes out between the scenes, more or less. So he releases it at the end of the scene.
Yeah.
Then we cut to some of this. Okay, you're balancing the POVs pretty well. Okay,
All right.
Gary, Sandy, Sean, and AJ fly in a small plane. So who are they?
So that's Gary, his wife, and 2 kids.
His kids. Okay, it's his whole family. Gary gets a thrill until his wife Sandy brings up the Franklin scandal. Sandy lends credence to the committee's allegations, but Gary derides her as a conspiracy theorist. He said he wants nothing to do with the investigation. Okay, I guess because he's happy doing his current work, sort of this sort of stuff that we saw at the beginning, where we're to assume that's what he's doing all the time, is like helping find runaways and cheating husbands and stuff like that.
Right.
Got it. Okay. So he's not interested in doing bigger stuff or doing something of a larger scale. It seems like he's happy with where things are. He's not that ambitious, it seems like. Okay.
Yeah. I kind of put in this scene that he is kind of unhappy with the way looking for, he says like looking for runaways who don't even want to be found. But um, I guess I kind of put him as unfulfilled, but not willing to entertain like conspiracy theories. Uh, it might have gotten a little muddled, but
I think I get it. I mean, I would just give him a clear sense of what is the plan that he thinks will work. You could like if especially if his wife is like, we need to make more money, we need to pay for college for the kids, whatever it is, like what are you doing? How are we getting closer to that goal? Maybe he's like, well, I've been doing this all day. I've been trying this. That's gonna work someday. Like we need to see like what his actual plan is, probably. As opposed to if he's just like, well, I don't want to do anything bigger, but also I'm not happy. He just feels completely directionless. So I would maybe just give him something that's not, give him a task that's not working, or like give him some sort of ambition for something else that just isn't panning out, or something along those lines.
okay.
Okay, so we are on the plane. Yes, he says he wants nothing to do with it, but basically we get the idea. He wishes he could be part of it, or maybe he's like, how could little old me ever make a difference, or something like that. All right, Lauren's confronted by the rest of the committee about the addendum. I guess it's after it has come out, so in the days or weeks following. Lauren tries to tell him he only did it to minimize intense scrutiny on them. The committee accuses him of compromising the investigation, and they resign in disgust, leaving him desperate for a new investigator. All right, corridors home. The family enjoys peaceful summer day until Lauren calls and begs Gary for just one meeting. At Sandy's insistence, Gary reluctantly accepts. That sounds like a catalyst to me. Um, Gary meets Lauren. He asks Gary what he knows about Franklin. Gary tells him he knows very little, though he's heard the rumors. All Lauren asks of him is that he review the committee's files. Gary again reluctantly accepts. Catalyst. Gary looks over the files and slowly realizes he's looking at a cover-up. So this is actually, so yeah, this is your catalyst here. Everything else underneath this is
Okay.
triangle logs. Because now your character has been given the opportunity, and now they're investigating, is it a valid opportunity? How would I approach it? All those are triangle locks type questions. All right.
Okey-dokey.
So we are looking at the files, realizing that it's a cover-up, interstate child prostitution, Ulysses Washington, assassination, Charlie Rogers, and ritualistic satanic abuse from Shanita Moore. Gary is left completely incredulous. Well, does he realize he's looking at a cover-up if he's still incredulous, or is he looking at something and saying like, if this were real, this would have to be an insane like this. There's no way this is a conspiracy because if it was, it would have to be this connected to this. Like, is he just kind of remarking on how incredulous or incredible a conspiracy here would be?
So I guess he's incredulous. He's not really realizing it yet. I guess he's trying the locks, and yeah, he is confronted with it, but he doesn't know what really to make of it.
Got it. That makes sense. Yeah. So maybe suspects is realizes sounds definitive. Realizes is what you do at the end of a sequence where you're trying to figure out a question. But I get the idea. He's looking at disconnected events and he's like, well, how do these things fit together? It would have to be a conspiracy. I mean, it's so crazy, but conspiracies aren't real. Gary confronts Lauren. Gary tells him all this must be lies. Lauren asks him if he thinks they're lies. He can't answer, but he tells him he wants nothing to do with it, whether it's true or not. Whether it's true because it's just outside of the scope or because he doesn't think he could pull it off, I wonder. I'm wondering where all this. You've had like 3 scenes where you've said he reluctantly accepts. He doesn't care. He doesn't want anything to do with this, and he keeps saying no, keeps rejecting it. I'm just wondering what the reason is. It seems like it's not quite fleshed out yet.
Yeah. Well, this is kind of well, right now it's new because he's just seen the evidence. So his new thing is, if it is true, he doesn't want to put himself into like danger or anything.
So what's more
And if
important?
it's
I guess is that my question. Is it more important that he thinks that we don't want to get in trouble with people, or is it more important that he thinks it's not true?
in this scene, I have it like we don't really know what he thinks yet. I have a part in this scene where he goes for the door. Lauren stops him, and Gary turns around like, "No, I'm not doing it." And Lauren's like, "No, you're still holding the case files." And then it pans down, and he's still holding on to them.
Okay. I get it. So I think it seems like you're saying then that he's just kind of making excuses and he's stalling because he suspects that it is true, but maybe he sort of doesn't think he'll be able to tackle it, or he's like insecure that he doesn't think one person will be able to make a difference, or he's worried he'll fail, or maybe he had some failure in the past that this is reminding him of, maybe, or something kind of like that. That's what it feels like to me.
Okay, yeah, I mean, I think he's scared of putting his family in jeopardy is like kind of the big thing in these next few scenes.
Got it.
Yeah,
So if that's the most important thing, then everything else around that just seemed like tactics for him to almost justify to himself why he shouldn't take the case on.
right.
Got it. All right. So he says he wants nothing to do with it, but he's still holding the files. He cases the defunct Franklin Credit Union. Soon he catches himself. What am I doing? And drives off. Okay, so he starts taking those first few steps, despite the fact that he's still hasn't admitted to himself or still hasn't fully embraced the journey yet. He gets home and Sandy's excited to learn how it went if he took the case. He tries to explain that they don't want to be anywhere near this. Sandy's confused and urges him to do what's right. Before Gary can respond, the phone rings. He's shocked to speak with Robert Wadman, Omaha chief of police. Robert presses Gary on his meeting with Lauren. Gary's angered by the threats, he calls back and says, "I'm in." Wait, what threats?
He's like calling him and like vaguely threatening him about how he knows he took a meeting with Lauren. Um, it's like a veiled threat, kind of.
Oh, so when you say he presses him, you mean to say that he's implying that he should drop the investigation because it implicates him personally?
Yes.
Got it. Okay. I'm not sure that was in your mind. It just wasn't quite there on the card. So I think I get it now.
Okay.
Okay, and so as a result of that, and the fact that he sees that this pressure is being put on him, and he already had his suspicions, he uses that to sort of prove to himself this is real and this is worth pursuing, and I have to do this. Okay, I think I get it. You've done a pretty good job outlining why, like, couple reasons why your character might be reluctant to take on this case. But it seems like the most important thing is not that he doesn't think it's real. It's that because almost right away you say even in the first scene where he looked at the files, you mentioned he suspects he's looking at this cover up. That makes it seem like it's almost kind of obvious. And the main issue is just that it puts his family in danger. So I'd really play up how dangerous or how influential and how important these people are that are being threatened by this, especially this the police chief, Robert Wadman. Does he have any scenes before this point?
Um, yeah, he's mentioned, but
seems like he should have a scene probably.
Okay. Because I have that public hearing scene, which I'm having problems with. Maybe he can appear in that.
Yeah. Does he make an appearance of some kind at that conference to tell people that that this is ridiculous and he's innocent? Or maybe we see his own press conference that he does later. Does he release a video of some kind? I forget what era we're in, so I think it's the 80s. So does he go on the news? Does he have a response? We want to see. And clearly the community supports him, right?
The police officer?
Yeah. If there's
all this
all this hostility saying we don't want you smearing this guy, clearly he has the respect of the community already, so he's thought of as a good local protector. Is that right?
That's right.
Got it. Okay, so the community supports him. He's well liked. What's his reaction?
Robert Watt.
Yeah. I'd like to know, is he rebutting all these allegations in a fiery way, or is he blowing it all off, saying it's no big deal? I don't care. Let it all roll off my back. Boys will be boys, whatever it is, right? So it would be helpful to know how he's taking it. And that way we will understand a little better where he's coming from when he calls Gary to pressure him here. Especially if he didn't seem worried before, but then he hears, oh crap, wait, who's on the case? This guy? I gotta call him right now. Like if that's the feeling, then we get the fact we would get the idea, oh, Gary's like significantly respected as an investigator as well.
Yeah, I think I can work it in. Because I'm having some trouble with that scene in particular, the length and who should be testifying, um,
Is there a real
and
transcript of the?
how.
Are you basing it off of an actual hearing?
Yeah, I'm looking for the transcript. I'm having some trouble. That's I would have to like contact the Nebraska State Senate to get it, and
I would
it
do it.
seems like they only. Yeah, I would. I'll probably try to do it, but I don't know how. It didn't seem like they would just give it out to just any person. But yeah, I'm gonna try to contact them.
Well, you're a teacher, right? Maybe you can sort of use that somehow, or like say tell them it's for educational purposes, or if it's for authenticity of research for an important story that you're trying to tell about this. Like, I wonder if you can maybe even use your academic credential a little.
Yeah, maybe.
What do you teach, by the way? Do you teach college or high school?
High school.
High school, cool. I've done some
Yeah.
I've done summer camps and I have done some tutoring of high school, but haven't actually taught classes there.
Mhm. It's fun sometimes.
Yeah, I was gonna say you just said that in a way that did not sound like you think that's that fun. All right, we'll have to talk more about
Oh
that later.
boy.
The weirdest thing I hear is that kids hate watching movies now. Is that true? They don't want to sit, they
Kids don't watch movies anymore. It's crazy.
Yeah.
I talk to them about movies. They're like, they look at me like I'm crazy. Like they only play video games. You
right.
gotta watch movies.
Like you bring out the TV and they all are like groaning and putting their heads down and stuff. I hear from my teacher friends they just want to play on their phone.
If it was more social somehow, I don't know. There's got to be a way to get kids to watch movies. It's like
Yeah.
Make them 12
weird. It's
seconds
like
long, I guess. Break them up into a million
a
small
decade
pieces.
ago we're trying to get kids to read, and now it's like now we're just trying to get them to watch movies. What is happening?
Yeah, we're trying to do what, and remember Matilda was all about how kids are watching too much TV, and now it's like, how do we get the kids to watch all this prestige TV that
Yeah.
we're working so hard on? All right, so we're at the end of your first act. I think you actually explained this pretty well. And you're putting a lot of thought into the character motivations and the real history of this, and obviously the more research you can do, the better, because you're sort of straight up implicating real people of real crimes here. But if this is public record, it's public record. So, fair is fair. I think your first act's looking pretty good. Did you have any questions on the pacing of this, or like that one specific scene, maybe?
Um, yeah, because I have the pages, but they're not really good. Maybe I can just explain this scene. So I have a public hearing. We get someone from foster care review board saying that it's credible. We get a police officer saying that they think it's credible. But then we get the attorney general for Nebraska, and they kind of grill him on the fact that he never like looked into this investigation. He never interviewed any of the witnesses. And I'm wondering, just for the sake of making it a short scene, that it can just be grilling the attorney general. It's hard to explain, but the scene has just gotten away from me. It's like 4 pages at this point.
Mhm. Yeah, that can happen with big group conversations or courtroom scenes or discussions or things like that. You can simplify and you can like combine different witnesses if you think that's useful. You can combine characters just to simplify, like if there's too many people involved in this hearing, you can sort of just like smash them together. I've done stuff like that before. Tends to work, and the audience doesn't care too much. I mean, obviously the people, if these are real people, then they might care that they're being combined with someone, but uh, you really have to just decide for yourself where you want to draw those lines. If it feels like it's going more than 4 pages, it could be that the narrative goal is not clearly set. So whose scene is it is going to be a big question there. Would you say it's Lauren's scene?
Oh, yes.
Okay. So, and what is his goal here?
His goal is to get the truth, but do it in such a way that it doesn't cost him politically. Um, but then he has the other senator, Ernie Chambers, who doesn't really give a shit. He's just kind of pushing and pushing.
Mhm.
Uh,
So Lauren's kind of dragging his feet, is that right? And
Yeah.
intentionally sort of damaging the investigation. So his goal here is to protect ourselves.
yes.
Okay. So try to if you're thinking of like he's trying to do this, but this, try to just boil it down to the one thing they're trying to do. And then that will help you clarify a little bit whether or not they succeed or fail by the end of the scene. So you have to think if he's trying to protect their reputations, by the end of the scene, does he fail to do that? It sounds like you're saying yes, he fails because this other guy speaks up more than him. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. So find a clear moment that we see like a reaction from him where he's like, oh God, we're dead. We're doomed. Like because we're starting to see the people in the gallery whispering to each other. We're starting to see the cameras flash. We see the sweat down the side of his face. We see he's like getting really nervous. Maybe even he desperately tries to get them not to do something. No, no, don't pass that motion. Don't read that out. Then they do it anyway. And we see he's devastated, right? So try to frame it around that simple goal of he's trying to protect them here. And by the end of the scene, he has failed at that.
Okay. Yeah. I definitely need to go back and look at the goal for the scene. It's a little all over the place right now.
Yeah, if the goal feels too multifaceted, like my character's goal is to do his job but protect himself but also advance his ideology, then it's too many things. You need to find one
Mhm.
thing that can be tangibly accomplished or not accomplished by the end.
Okay. I think, yeah, I'll go back to it and think about it.
Okay, and hopefully those other comments just going
Yeah.
through it gave you some thoughts on just like setting up the character motivations and also setting up this villain a little better in the first act, giving him, that one clear scene, maybe even putting him in this hearing somehow if he's able to weigh in, or even if we just see posters of him and recordings of him, like make him a presence somehow. We want to understand that he's powerful and influential and what the stakes of going against him will be.
All right, yeah. I'll look into that. I'm sure there's a good place I can put them in.
Great. All right. Other questions?
No, I think that's very helpful. Thank you.
All right. Thank you for sharing. Luke, do you want to look at your logline?
If you want.
Read it out for us.
Driven mad after an eternity in heaven, a disillusioned worshipper searches for a way to escape his endless torment. It's not really clear how or why, or
I think it's clear why. I'm pretty much
rather how, or
how maybe. Yeah, I don't think you need much more for this logline. I think you're actually almost there. It's pretty good high concepts. It's like a prison escape story, but the character's trying to escape from heaven. Is that right?
yeah. Maybe he's trying to find a way to commit suicide, or I don't, there's so many directions I could take it, and it's all vague.
That's
I,
okay.
I wish it was more clear for the log line, but yeah, I guess that it's clear enough for now.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think this would be enough for me to read it. I it sounds sort of like a dark comedy, perhaps. Like maybe he's going to be using kind of crazy over the top tactics. Like first he has to try to find out, can I die? Next he has to find out, well, can I get back to Earth? Next he has to find out, well, maybe I can get if I sneak through hell, I can get out, or something like that, right? So this is kind of like a
Probably, yeah. You have a pretty good idea of where it's going. I think ultimately he's going to end up in hell at some point.
yeah, it sounds like you're kind of doing like an afterlife, like the afterlife genre basically is like sort of a an area where we explore different facets of life after death, right? Like The Good Place and shows like this. And oftentimes can do so in a subversive way that kind of questions, is heaven really so great? Which is what that's the strong irony in the premise, which is, an eternity of happiness, is that really happiness at all? A great classic question about the whole heaven and hell thing, alongside with the issue of, well, my non-believing spouse didn't go to heaven. How am I supposed to live without them? That kind of thing. So it's just it does a good job of sort of generating drama from one of the core contradictions in the heaven idea. So I think that's done well. And I guess
Like
maybe
horror as well, like
oh, you
the
want
idea of eternity itself just being horrifying.
yeah. So this guy is like from like he's like a caveman that has been in heaven for like so long, or how long has he been there? I wonder. What culture was he originally from?
It doesn't matter. I mean, eternity will drive anyone mad, no matter what culture they were spawned from.
But do you actually mean eternity, or how? Or do you just mean a really long time?
Um, a very long time, to use something horrifying I was told in Bible camp. Um, Imagine a planet the size of Jupiter made of diamond, the hardest mineral in the universe, which is not true at all, but this is the way he told it. And every year, a little sparrow comes and lands on this Jupiter-sized diamond, and then it flies away. By the time that little sparrow has ground down the diamond into a speck of sand, not even in 1 minute will have passed in eternity. And that's how long you're going to burn in hell for if you don't follow. Yeah.
Wow.
So,
Well, it's a scary concept. I mean, but I guess I'm just sort of asking in terms of like, what year is it on Earth? Because that affects like who else will be in heaven and what's going on Earth. Especially if your character is exploring the possibility, could I get back down there somehow?
yeah, I'll have to figure out all I don't know, who's the protagonist? What's our act two gonna look like?
Yeah, just do all that now. I think the logline is a strong concept on its own. And I think a few thousand years would be enough to drive people crazy. So just say he's from, ancient Egypt or something. He's like uh we were just talking about mummies, weren't we? Maybe that's what's got me thinking ancient Egypt.
Well, I think it's in the far future. I think
Oh, it's in the far
this is
future.
long after the Earth has ended and everyone has been sent to the good place or the bad place. And, all the worshippers in heaven have just been doing this for tens of thousands of millennia.
Okay. That's way different than I thought. I would include that in the logline then. So you mean there is no Earth anymore?
Yeah.
Okay, got it. So you mean
Or I
say,
guess I don't
millennia
know,
after the rapture or whatever. Is that right?
we're on the new Earth. So like Earth kind of exists, but it's heaven, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
Like the city.
isn't that the kind of the biblical idea of the Armageddon? Like Jesus descends down and then Earth and heaven kind of merge together? Or do I have that wrong?
Um, I don't know. I think they burn away the earth and create a new earth with a new Jerusalem. And they describe the dimensions of heaven as like a giant cube and all this kind of stuff. It's all very strange, but I don't know. It wouldn't actually work if you think about it, like kind of like Noah's Ark, but it's a story. But the idea of just having no free will, being incapable of feeling sad or remembering your loved ones who are burning in hell or this kind of thing that would make you feel sad. It just like literally it says in the Bible they're just like chanting like holy, 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 this for eternity. Like that sounds like Chinese water torture. That sounds like
Right.
I don't know, the worst punishment I could imagine.
Okay, so yeah, I would just wrap into the logline the idea that thousands of years after the rapture or the Armageddon, the Earth is gone and we've achieved the sort of eternal paradise. Like that idea, I think, is essential here, because it means that your character won't be trying to get back to Earth, and it means that we are in some sort of completely new cultural space that we just have never seen before. It would all just be brand new. We're like in a new phase of humanity, basically.
All right. I guess it's secretly a post-humanism script.
I guess so.
Yet another one.
Right. Well, thanks for sharing. Hope that gives you some good changes to make there, but not sure when you're when you're actually going to develop this. I would be glad to read it. I like the sort of afterlife genre.
Sure.
Thank you for that. We have just 5 minutes left. If anyone else has questions, plot ideas they want to ask about?
Oh, 180 pages is you said is no good, very bad, right?
Very bad.
Okay, that's not. I don't have it set up that way,
Okay.
but
I think the
um,
longest script I've ever read was like 162, and it was an epic length crime drama by S. Craig Zoller, and it was excellently written, but it has never been made and probably never will be. If you're like a prestige filmmaker like Scorsese, you can do like 3-hour-ish movies, but as a spec writer, no one's going to read them.
Yeah. Okay. I won't do that.
Okay. Try to just aim for
Mm.
2 hours or less. Like if you can, like just even 120 is too long for some readers. You know what I mean? So even pushing 100 is gonna, like, if readers have 3 things to choose from, and 2 of them are under 100 pages and one is 120, they're not gonna pick the 120. They're always gonna be drawn to the script that feels easier and lighter.
Yeah. That's why I'm trying to work on my scene work being 2.5 pages.
Right. Yeah, that's the right idea.
Yeah.
And not to say that you can't write dense stuff if you want to. If that's your style and that's what you do. I just mentioned Craig Zoller. He writes intensely novelistic, dense prose, and he's amazing at it. Like that's the thing, is you just have to sell it. You have to be amazing at it. Because if you're not, then everyone's just like, I'm not going to read even more than a scene of this.
Okay.
So anything outside of those sort of norms of what people expect, and you just have to justify like and earn every page of it. Thank you for the question. Hope that's helpful.
Mm.
Anyone else have a question to wrap up in these last few minutes? Okay, we'll wrap up there then. This is my last class for the weekend. We are doing another, I think, TV lab next week, Friday, 6 to 8. Lab Friday, 12 to 2. Novels Saturday, 12 to 2. Lab on Saturday, 4 to 6. And then the features Sundays, 11 to 1. We'll see you guys back here soon for your next script camp class,
And-
workshop, or event. Oh, go ahead, Nasha.
Oh yeah, this table read's starting in a few minutes, so just hang out here if you, and you still time to submit your own script or just hang out and read a part or listen in.
Thanks, Nasha. Table read starting soon. Thanks, guys.